Good Sunday morning. You're listening to Access Houston. I'm your host, KG Smooth, welcoming a first-timer to the program. We're not strangers to each other, but this is her first time on the program. We met at, we were members of one of the organizations, what's Al Frazier's organization called?
Civil Society.
Civil Society.
Yes.
What up, Al? Shout out to Al Frazier. Yeah, Civil Society. And and so she hit me up like, hey, listen, she's also a nurse too. And she wanted to come on and talk fitness and health and all of the great things. So ladies and gentlemen, the fibroid queen and the owner of Nurse to Fitness, Phyllis Frempong. How are you?
Oh, I'm so good. Thank you for having me.
Well, I'm so glad that you are here. When you put down the fibroid queen, I thought to myself, I was like, oh, this is going to be some good conversations because I've had a couple of women on this year to talk about fibroids and the effect that it has on women and why it's showing up so much in women. Like, what is the cause? And we don't know, but we're going to get into all of that. But first, just tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
So, again, thank you again for having me.
You're welcome.
So I am on my journey of healing, and I've been on this journey for a while, and I am now enjoying more of life, doing things out of my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to bring other people with me. I want to continue to inspire. I think we all need to help each other, empower one another, and get to the next level. I mean, that's really the way to live life. And I literally just got here. Yeah. So that's what I'm all about right now. And I'm just so grateful for this opportunity and to be here with you.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Well, it's not about me. Clearly, it is not about me. Nurse to Fitness.
Yes.
I found it fascinating when we were at some of the civil society meetings and they, said that you were a nurse, and I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I'm following you on the gram. I mean, I thought she was the workout queen.
Yeah.
So tell us about your Nurse to Fitness and what made you combine the two? Because it only makes sense.
Right.
I mean, if my nurse looked like you, I would definitely do whatever she tells me to do.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So Nurse to Fitness.
So that has been my name from just based on what I've done. So I graduated nursing school. It was a very hard curriculum, and I started as a nurse and, feeling not my best, overweight, 30, well, not overweight, I would say 30 pounds heavier, and battling nursing school, feeling self-doubt and all that stuff. I decided to take control of my health after being told that I had high cholesterol in my 20s. So
in your 20s?
In my 20s, absolutely. I was doing everything possible to get through nursing school, unhealthy, whatever. My food of choice was Denny's, pancakes, sausage, bacon, and finally got into nursing school, and I was like, you know what? I can't keep doing what I'm doing to my body. So I was like, let me get started and go to the gym, and get moving. So I got a gym membership and randomly ran into a bodybuilding coach. And I was introduced to her through a friend. And long story short, the coach was like, she was talking to me. You should compete. And I'm like, look at me. Do I look like someone that can compete on stage half naked? Like, really? So I was like, you got to be crazy. So a couple of days later, I slept on it. I was like, you know what if? So I contacted her and joined her program, and I became committed to fitness. I started working out 6 days a week. I dropped about 35 pounds, and I was competing on stage. So I was doing figure modeling, competitions for about, as well as bikini for about 5 years. And then in the midst of that, I decided to want to go further with that and help others reach their goals like I reached mine. And I became a fitness coach. So that's where Nurse to Fitness was born.
Ah,
Yeah.
amazing. You're listening to Access Houston, talking to the Nurse to Fitness, Phyllis Frempong. She's also the fibroid queen. So when that struck me so much, the fibroid queen. In what area makes you the fibroid queen? Are you one that has dealt with uterine fibroids and had to have the surgeries and all of that, or you want to educate women more on how to deal?
Okay. Good question. So, Nurse to Fitness was not happy internally, emotionally, mentally. So, it wasn't till I took a trip. I had a boyfriend at the time that in 2017, I had a boyfriend that lived in Hawaii, and I went to go pay him a visit. You know, we were at the beach one night, and we were walking on the beach and holding hands, having a good time. All of a sudden, I zoned out, like literally zoned out, became disconnected. And I just started walking. And it was about 10 seconds, and then I came back to awareness, and I heard him laughing. He was laughing at me. And I was like, "What are you laughing at?" He was like, "You just started walking. We're at the beach. Where are you going?" So that was my moment of awareness that I was living a life of disconnection, self-doubt, fear, dealing with anxiety. I was headed down a dark path. So that was I would say, my journey of awareness. So he was like, "You know what, girl, when you get back, you need to, take a yoga class or something. You've been tense this whole trip. You can't relax. I suggest you do yoga." So, and that's what I did. So I took some yoga classes, and I became hooked to just the connection I was able to do with myself with yoga.
Yeah.
And
I had a yoga expert on the program last week.
Yeah.
She was amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And so I became a yoga instructor. I got my certification, and I was like, you know what? I want to help others reconnect with themselves and start to heal. So that started my journey to healing myself. I realized my symptoms. I have fibroids. I was first diagnosed in a year into nursing school. I just went to a routine doctor's appointment, and I was like, you know what? I just want to get an ultrasound to see if I have fibroids. Now, mind you, I had no idea what fibroids were. I just remember my mom having it. She didn't talk about it too much. I just remember her getting surgery. She got a partial hysterectomy. And as a child, I remember her coming home from surgery and just looking miserable. So that thought stayed with me as I went into nursing school. I was like, let me make sure I don't have it. And the doctor questioned, like, why do you want this test? Do you have any symptoms? I was like, well, I have heavy bleeding and cramps. And she's like, why do you want the test? I was like, I just want to know. So, Lord and behold, I had a fibroid, quarter-sized fibroid on my uterus. So the doctor was like, you know what? Just monitor it. We'll see what happens, right? So at that point, I was not focused on my health. I was focused on, again, finishing nursing school. So years passed. I get the pap smears and all that stuff and graduated nursing school. Yay. And ended up, competing. And then 2017, when I went on that trip to Hawaii, I started experiencing more symptoms like urinary frequency, anemia, brain fog. So these are the symptoms of fibroids, okay? So
women, listen up.
Yeah,
if
listen.
you are experiencing some of these symptoms.
Yes, queens, listen up. Anemia due to heavy bleeding, okay? So that can leave you feeling fatigue, tired, headaches, brain fog, as well.
And cold.
And cold, absolutely. Can't even begin to talk about that. Also, painful cramps. and they're not necessarily on your period. They can be at any time, as well as bloating. Again, urinary frequency is what I was experiencing due to the fibroids getting larger and pressing on my bladder. So I noticed that I was having more palpitations, and as I told you, I've dealt with anxiety in the past. So those all are triggers to fibroids. Getting through. I was going through nursing school, being high off of caffeine, eating unhealthy, not exercising, and obesity. Those are triggers for fibroids because there's not really a specific cause.
And that's what I was just about to ask, Phyllis. You listen to Access Houston, talking to Phyllis Frempong, the fibroid queen. Do we know an origin of where this comes from in women? And why is it that I only hear about black women having uterine fibroids? I don't ever hear anything about any other race or a white woman or a Mexican woman. All the time that I've heard about these uterine fibroids has been from black women or African women. So we don't know where it comes from and why it affects black women the most.
Yeah. And there's no cure.
There's no cure.
So, I look at this research. I've done all this research for years, and I look at it and like, you know what? What's beyond the science? What's beyond what they're telling us there?
Right.
And why is it happening in women of color? Why?
Right.
What's in the genes? I'm sick of hearing that ish. Oh, you're black. It's in the genes. This is the way it is. Bull.
Yeah.
There's more to it.
Yeah.
What are we putting on our skin? What's in our hair? What are our ancestors passing down to us? What are we thinking? What are we doing that this keeps happening among us? And a woman will develop fibroids in their lifetime. It's about 90%, up to 90% of women will develop fibroids, and 3/4, is black women, and it's like, why?
That's high. That's high.
Yes,
like,
it's
as
very
I said,
high.
I don't ever hear about any other ethnicity going through this but black women.
Yes, and it's a very vulnerable condition that many of us don't want to talk about. I just came out. I've had it for all these years, and it's something that I've been ashamed of. I'm sure other queens are going through the same thing.
I can imagine.
And it's not like, it affects you holistically. And that's my concern when it comes to the way we're treating fibroids. It's like, oh, just take it out. Oh, you don't need your uterus. Do you want more kids?
Right.
Then you don't.
What about me as a woman? What about me feeling like a woman?
Exactly. And, your uterus is a powerhouse. It's not just a utility organ.
Not me, but you know what I mean.
It's a powerhouse to our emotions. So once you remove that, what's stabilizing your emotions? What's giving you your gas to keep going?
So what was it that got you back, and what steps did you take personally for yourself to continue to live your best life? Because I'm sure that there's some women out there that's going through feeling exactly the same that you are. So what did you do or are currently doing to continue to go on?
So I'm on a mission to educate and empower women with fibroids to conquer and live their best life. And how I did it through a proven system that I created through fitness, yoga, and nutrition.
Okay.
So in 2017, I was like, you know what, I got to do something more. Emotionally, I'm not myself. I feel disconnected. I started doing self-development. I started investing in going into classes, listening into motivational speaking like Tony Robbins, Eric Thomas, and Gary Vee, and started listening to them to really.
That's so funny. Sidebar. That's so funny that you mentioned ET, because on my podcast I'm about to respin our conversation from a few years ago.
Oh, really?
Oh,
wow.
So that's funny. So that's just affirmation that I'm about to put out to my podcast.
Do it. Do it.
But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. So I started doing more of fueling my mind, and that really helped change my perception of my life and my and having fibroids. Because, KJ, at one point I really blamed myself. I'm like, I'm a fitness coach. Why do I have fibroids? Why? Why is this happening to me? And it's like, I felt that my body betrayed me, and it's like, what did I do wrong? So it took yoga to reconnect and really be grateful for my body because, the liver, our liver is like the man, right? Our uterus is the woman. The liver can only take so much beating, so many triggers, so much caffeine, so much obesity, so much stress, lack of sleep until it's shot. And then not too far from the liver is the uterus. As a man, just imagine if you can't provide for your significant other.
I can't.
Exactly. That's the liver. So once the liver is shot, it can't help with managing your estrogen levels, our hormones. That's what the liver does. So with the liver not running as it should, it attacks the uterus. And that's where we run into issues like fibroids and such and so forth. So queens, how did I get to where I'm at? So starting with number one is exercise. Just get moving. Get those endorphins, those feel-good hormones going in your body. That way you get some type of motivation to make a change.
So something as simple as what? Walking.
Yes. So 20 to 30 minutes a day of walking, and do it at a pace you can sustain, and then just get better. See if you can start jogging and then start getting into weight training. So progressively, but starting with walking. Number two is journaling, writing down how you're feeling. What's going on, what's working, what's not working, who pissed you off. I feel like journaling is a huge part of healing, and it makes you actually see what is really going on and what you need to change. So journaling is number two. And number three is diet. Being more intentional with what you're eating. You're going to have that muffin. Think about what that muffin is. Is it going to do something for you? Why are you eating that? Being more intentional. So as a start for fibroids, you have fibroids. Things that you want to actually stay away from or limit is dairy, soy, and meat. If you can limit those things, it'll help significantly because they all influence your hormones. Okay, so those are the three things that I would suggest if you've just been diagnosed that you have fibroids. Things that you want to look out for is heavy bleeding. Like us as women, heavy bleeding, well, more so as women of color, is like something normal, like society has normalized. And we're like ashamed when it comes times for our period. We should be celebrating. Like, I'm on my period right now. This is a celebration. I feel good. This is not a point where I should be laying in bed miserable or, feeling angry because I'm on my period, I'm suffering, I'm having painful cramps. It shouldn't be that way. And as a society, we have, just settled for that. So if you're having heavy bleeding, so more than 3 tablespoons, that's considered heavy bleeding. That's abnormal.
Wow.
You're having cramps during your periods. That's abnormal.
Wow.
Yes. I'm on my period, no cramps. Now, it took me this long to get here. In November, I went to go see Tony Robbins in Miami, and I got my period. I had cramps the whole time. And that was the first time in a long time since I've been on this journey. And I was grateful for the cramps. I didn't let it mess up my attitude. I feel like my body's changing. And since I've been on my journey, I've been able to get a lot of fibroid relief. My cramps stopped. I would say 80% of the time I don't have cramps during my periods. I went from bleeding out 8 pads a day to now just 2 pads a day. And my periods are not as long. I have more energy. I'm more confident. I'm here today with you. Like, this wouldn't have happened
And all of this was from you just being more cognizant of what's going on around you, doing some exercise, yoga, and cutting out the red meat.
Yeah. I mean, that's like the gist of it. So fitness, yoga, and nutrition. And just, also making it a holistic thing. It's not just you're treating fibroids, you're treating yourself.
Yourself, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, man. Where can they follow you, find you? I'm sure that there are some women that are watching and listening, like, yo, I need this in my life because I'm going through the same thing, where should they follow you?
Yes, Queens. We cannot do this alone. So, Fibroid Queen Tribe, I am collaborating with another woman that has fibroids. You can find us there on Facebook, and it's a tribe. Join a group with women who are dealing with the same condition as you, so that you're not alone. Also, I'm evolving. My brand is evolving, going from nurse to fitness to fibroid queen.
Mm-hmm.
So next year, I have some big things ahead for all my women suffering with fibroids. We're going to do this together. This is a team. And nurse to fitness is where you can find me. Nurse #2 fitness. And I want to connect with you. You have questions. You need some resources. Just send me a DM. Connect with me. Look through my posts and say, I want to see more of this. I want to see more of that. And I want to empower and educate you to live your best.
So follow her at Nurse to Fitness and reach out to her openly. Listen, we're going to have to do a follow-up in a few months to see, who reached out, how you're doing, and to educate and inform more people on this, man. I knew this was going to be dope, but I didn't know that we were going to go all the way there. This was amazing.
Thank you.
So, thank you for coming on.
You're so welcome.
And thank you for listening to Access Houston.